So welcome again, beautiful people. This is one of my photos, and this is the other photo that I'm gonna use. And I'm gonna rotate it. So go to image adjustment to image rotation. Choose 90 clockwise. Good enough. Or let me see if I flip it to 180. Okay, let's use it like this. I'll go to my other document and drag it with the move tool right here. Use my keyboard, just type 50 to reduce the layer opacity. Control plus T to scale it down to something like this. And let me just select my background layer and duplicate it. Just to have a second copy of it. I'll hide the layer with the girl. Close this document. And I'll make some kind of selection of my paper. So I'll be using the quick selection tool. And I'll just drag around the background like this. And this selection looks nice. I'll go to select inverse to invert the selection, and I'll add a layer mask to my layer. Next I'll make the girl layer. Let's rename it to girl. I'll make it visible again. Right click here and increase the size of my layer thumbnails. So watch layer thumbnails. So with the girl layer selected, I'll set the opacity back to 100. And I'll try a different blending mode, overlay for example. Yeah, it looks quite good. And then hold the Alt key, and when the mouse cursor changes from this to this, when you move it in between the two layers and click, you clip the girl layer to the paper layer. Let's rename this to paper. Now I'll select the girl layer again, Control plus T to transform it, and I'll make it larger so that it matches the paper layer until I like the way it looks. So the paper is cut anyway, so you don't need to see everything. It's an old photo, so it's damaged, and this doesn't look bad. Next I'll make it black and white, so click here on this circular icon at the bottom of the layers panel, and let's add a black and white, and this makes it black and white, of course. Now I'll add a levels adjustment layer. Move this black slider to the right. Maybe all the way to here, as the old photos get also darker with time. Let me also add contrast by increasing the whites a little bit. Maybe even move this to the left. So even some more black. And I'm not sure I like how the area here looks. So what can I do? Maybe select my background layer and add the solid color layer for background and fill it with white. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna I don't know, let me think for a second. I'll duplicate the girl layer. This time set it to normal. Add a layer mask to it and fill it with black. Then using a white brush, I'm gonna lower down the brush opacity from here and paint here on this area like this, so that her face will look a little bit better, a little bit not so damaged. So this is before and after. And I'll also add again from here, this time a photo filter layer, and I'll choose sepia to give it this yellowing effect that you see in all the photos as they start to get like this yellowish color with time. Maybe even click on the color here, move this slider a bit upwards and choose even something more yellow or a color that you prefer. So this was the original sepia color. So it's set to normal. What I'm doing is experimenting with the blending modes to see whether something looks better or not. In this case, I might keep it to normal. I'll just drag it to something more saturated, or just go here to increase the saturation like this. Yeah, this looks good. Now maybe you don't want your entire photo to be yellow, so again with the photo filter layer mask active, this is the photo filter layer mask, I'll pick the gradient tool and it's set to radial, so set it to radial, and I'll uncheck this reverse, drag a line like this, maybe drag it, I want it longer, something like this, but I want it from the other direction. So I'll start dragging from the center. Yeah, I like it better this way. And you can reduce the density if you like from the properties panel here. So with this slider you change how strong the gradient effect applied to the layer mask will be. With this density slider, which is the layer mask density. And now add finally one more thing, a hue saturation, adjustment layer, and just increase the saturation of the photo. Well, you can also add a drop shadow here on the paper layer. So open the blending option, double click on the layer to open them, and click on drop shadow. I need some more opacity, and move it a bit to the side. Less opacity for it. Let me hit OK. It picks from this all the adjustments effect above. So what I'm gonna do is, to avoid it, let me think for a second. So I'll group my paper and girl layer, add them to a group. Also drag this one inside the group. And I'll also group my adjustment layers from the top. Add a layer mask to them. I'll Control plus click on the paper layer mask. Then go to select inverse. So this selects all the areas outside of my paper layer. So if I fill it with black now, here on the, let's rename this group adjustments. So as you guys know, this group contains the hue saturation, photo filter levels, and black and white layers. So now this selection contains the drop shadow, and if I fill it with black, we wouldn't have this effect here on the shadow, but only on the photo, which is what we want. This is exactly what we want, so make sure the adjustments group layer mask is active, and go to edit fill, and for the context choose black and hit OK. And now the Control plus D, and as you can see, the shadow is not being affected. I'll open the paper layer drop shadow settings again, and just click and drag in my view to bring the shadow a little bit closer. Give it like less of a size. so that it looks maybe a bit more to the side like this, so that it looks more as if it's put on a flat surface like a table or something. So thank you guys for watching, and bye bye.